We're going to be going over IRS Form 8990, Schedule A, at the request of someone who watched our review of Form 8990 and specifically asked for a deep dive on Schedule A as it pertains to partnerships under common control subject to Section 163J limitations. So before we go into the schedule itself, I figured I'd share a couple of things that are worth noting if Section 163J limitations apply to your partnership. So first, the IRS has an FAQ page about limitations on the deductions for business interest expense. And there are a lot of questions that the IRS has already answered on their FAQ. I want to point that out just in case there's a question that you might have that the IRS website has already taken care of. A couple of things. When you should file Schedule A. So it's important to note that any taxpayer that's required to complete Part 1 and is a partner in a partnership subject to Section 163J limitation must complete Schedule A before completing Part 1. So the information in Schedule A informs certain lines in Part 1 that we'll get to. So when we get to line 43, we will be taking certain information, basically the excess business interest expense, that is column C, current year excess taxable income from column F, and then excess business interest income in column G are all items that should be reported to the partner on Schedule K1. So you're going to need Schedule K1 to build Schedule A. So with that, let's go into the form itself. So you'll see columns A through I, and column A is the name of the partnership. There are several lines in case there are more than one partnership. And then column 2 is the employer identification number. For column C, in the current year, you will need to reduce the current year excess business interest expense by the amount of negative 163J expense related to the current year excess business expense, and then attach a statement to IRS Form 8990 to identify the partnership name and the amount of 163J expense. There's more detail in Treasury Regulations, Section 163J 6H. In column D, you're going to go back to the prior year 8990, the amount from line 43, column I, which is the carry forward. You will now carry this forward into column D of the current year's Schedule A. So any adjustments, you will need to increase the prior year carryover by any negative 163J expense that is no longer suspended. Or if applicable, you'll need to reduce prior year excess business interest expense by the amount of negative 163J expense related to that prior excess business interest expense. Attach a statement identifying the partnership name and a description of any adjustments that you might make. In column E, you're simply going to total column C and column D. So if you had excess business expense of $20,000 and you had a prior year carry forward of $30,000, then column E would then be $50,000. Column F and column G, those are carryover items from your K1. So in column F, your current year excess taxable income is directly from your K1, and then your Column G, current year excess business and interest income carry forward. At the bottom in line 44, you'll see that the columns A through E are grayed out. You don't need to total these items until you get to column F. And column F, you'll total all of the different items from, if you have multiple partnerships, you'll total them into line 44. Same with column G. For column H, excess business interest expense treated as paid or accrued, you'll need to enter the lesser of either your total excess business interest expense amount in line E or column E, or the current year excess taxable income in column F plus the current year excess business interest income in column G. So enter the lesser of that. So if you entered, say, $10,000 in column F, and then you would enter $20,000 in column G. Again, these are numbers that could have come straight from your K1. Those two items add up to $30,000, which is the lesser of those two or column E. So you would enter $30,000 into column H. For column I, that's the current year excess business interest expense carry forward. Columns 43E, so this number minus column 43H minus any excess business interest expense that previously reduced partner basis that you're required to make a basis adjustment to upon disposition of your partnership interest. So if that's applicable, you might need to refer to Treasury Regulations section 1.163J-6C3. I apologize. 1.163J-6H3. In line 44, you're going to total the current year excess taxable income, the excess business interest income, and then in column H, the total excess business interest expense that was treated as paid or accrued. For partners subject to the limitation, you'll add the amounts entered in all lines 43 column H for the partnership listed. So for these items in line 44, these will be carryover items into part 1. So we'll assume that there are no other partnerships involved, and we're going to drag these numbers down here. And then to complete this, since we're subtracting this number from here, this is the maximum allowable, which means we have a carry forward to next year of $20,000 for, we'll just call this partnership X. So in the following year's 8990 Schedule A, we've got this $20,000 as a carry forward that will inform column D. So now these numbers, 10,000, 20,000, and 30,000 go to respective lines in part 1. So the column F number is entered in line 14 of column 1. The column G number is entered into line 24, and then the column H number is entered into line 30. So let's go up into part 1, and we'll put this information to work here. So for this is the Schedule A, line 44, column F, the total current year's partner's excess taxable income directly from that line 44, column F. For column G, we're going to enter the excess business interest income from pass-through entities. Now, it's important to note that if you also have S corporation, then excess taxable income or excess business interest income, you'll have to complete Schedule B. That's what this line item for line 24 is stating. But for the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to assume that we do not have any interest nor any excess business interest income from an S corporation. And so the $20,000 goes into line 24. And then for column H, the total current year business interest expense deduction, this would be the number that you include right here. Now this happens to be for partners that are not subject to 163J limitations. So if you are subject to 163J limitations, then you're going to enter this number in a different spot, because you will need to actually inform the 163J limitations before you treat all of the excess business expense. So you'll enter that into line 3 if you are subject to 163J limitations. And again, if you were not, then you would enter that information here. So I believe that concludes our review of Schedule A for IRS Form 8990. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, please post them in the comment section. And if you would like a deeper dive into IRS Form 8990 itself, the walkthrough, you can check out our article on our website, teachmepersonalfinance.com. Type in IRS Form 8990 into the search bar, and you should see our article. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please post them in the comments. Thank you very much.